UK Life Clinic. I am 𝗟𝗶𝘃𝗲 from Team Consultancy UK. It's good to have you all here for another session this week. So today we'll be talking about the difference between academic intake, which is the January and May intake. What are the difference, or what are the things that as a student you should look out for when picking or selecting the academic intake of your choice? So welcome guys again to another session this week. So if you have any question, or today we'll be sharing more, giving you template about, university selection, course selection, and how to craft out your comprehensive SOP that, will be submitted for your application to the university in the UK. So our services are completely free, both admission processing, the visa application process, everything we do, our services that we render to our students from this team is completely free. We are not charging any money. Again, our services also covers the visa application, which is equally free to all of our students globally. So we do not charge, whether you're applying from Nigeria or you're applying from any other country to study in the schools in UK, our services to you are completely free. So if you're joining this live session, you'll be learning a lot of things, and you have the opportunity of getting, the free template of how to craft out your statement of purpose. Also the how to select the right university per intake, and how to pick the right course that best suits your career. So without wasting more time, I would want us to dive into the school selection and the intake. So most people often believe that, okay, applying to universities or sending application to all the schools in the UK, it has to do with their own readiness, or at the time they feel they just want to put in application. But in the real sense, it does not really work that way. If you want to get quick response from the school, you need to be strategic with your application process. You need to also have in mind the intake that you are going for. So if you are going for May intake, or you are going for September intake, the difference is the time frame. And I would also like to mention this here, that September is the bigger intake for recruitment process for all the schools in the UK. So if you are looking forward to, exploring more courses, September is the best intake to explore more courses. They have most programs, both the advanced program and the sub programs are always open in September. And virtually all the schools in the UK are fully into recruitment process for all the students that are ready to pursue their academic in the UK. Now, again, September is also the intake that usually, attracts more candidates, more students. Usually we target as the peak period of recruitment. It's a peak period because virtually all the schools are open to receive your application, process it, and then send out the offer letters to the student. So September is the bigger intake. virtually the courses you were not able to get in the April intake or May intake or perhaps in January intake, you are likely to get that same course available and open, in September intake. So now for the May intake is kind of less populated in terms of application process. It's less populated because students who are not, ready or ready to, for the weather, we talk about the weather and then the chances of getting into school, based on the rush hour or the peak period. So if you miss your intake in January and you are very ready to pursue your academic journey in the UK, you can also consider May intake. May intake, the rush is low, unlike the September intake. You have more time, to get your application done as soon as possible. You also have the time to beat the rush for September intake. You have more time to, settle into the school environment without rushing, because you know that May intake is usually it's usually calm when it comes to application process. So you have, again, we also have less crowd in the class. So the classroom, the number of people that will be putting in for May intake, the crowd is less in the classroom as compared to September intake. So September intake is, like I said, is the peak period for all schools when it comes to recruiting students. So if you have this type of person that you feel, oh, you don't want any rush, you just want to calm down and learn, you want a more cooler, environment and class to enable you learn and get all the necessary information that will help you to scale through your academics successfully, then May intake is the right one for you. Again, due to financial constraints, some people might not be able to meet up, with May intake or even January intake. Hence, they tend to prepare themselves ahead financially, fully ready to take up the responsibility that comes with the applications and other expenses for September intake. So usually September is the period that gives people enough time to plan. You can take like another 4 months, 5 months to plan yourself, academically and financially, mentally ready to start your program fully in the month of September. Again, we have students who we just, who are contemplating or who does not even understand the difference between September intake and May intake. Another, difference between September intake and the May intake is that we have limited courses open for May intake. So most of the advanced courses are not usually available on the school portal to pick from. But for September intake, almost all the courses, in fact, all the courses you are looking for are open in the month of September. So for you to be able to get this right, why determine which of the session that you would like to join, that is where our services comes in and at Team Consultancy UK. There's a link below here that you can click on to book a one-on-one session with our counselor, who will explain to you, guide you properly on how to pick the right course per intake so that you are well informed if the course you are going for is available for May intake. Remember I said May intake the courses available are limited, especially the advanced courses. So sometimes you might want to go for MSc Geoinformatics or MSc Big Data Science or MSc Architecture. You are likely not going to find those advanced courses in May intake, because most schools might not, will not have that course available for May, and which means that the application cannot be pushed, to the school, because of course, when the portal is not open for you to pick that particular course, you are likely not going to apply. But for September intake, regardless of the course you are going for, whether it's an undergraduate, whether it's a diploma course, whether it's a PG program, or you are going for MRes program, all of these are always available for you to pick from for September intake. May is kind of, the lower, it's the lower application. It takes more of the lower application process as compared to September. September is the bigger, intake for all schools. So some of the things you need to also consider, the weather can be another reason why you might want to consider May, because May intake, the weather is not so cold. You can easily get into the environment and adapt to the system, the culture, the environment, the weather in May before September intake comes in. At least if you have spent like 3 months before the September intake, you will likely get used to the weather and then the culture and everything. So you already prepared yourself for winter. So that's another reason for, that you might likely want to consider when applying for intake. You can also check it out if you're someone that is not really, too familiar with the weather. You can easily start from May intake. At least that will give you, have 3 months ahead to prepare yourself, get used to the weather, get all your, your jacket and everything ready ahead of the winter period, which is usually in September. So again, if you are looking for advanced courses, like I said, courses are not usually open. You are likely not going to get more of the advanced courses in May intake. Another reason why you should consider May intake is that May intake, the class is usually less populated. You have more time to, blend well into the system, get familiar with your lecturers, get familiar with your friends and, the environment. Like I said, is calmer. The environment is much relaxed, less populated, and you can easily, integrate into the system before the peak period comes in, which is the September intake. Again, for you to know if your course is available, the course you are going for is available for May intake, we are here to guide you through the whole process. And like I mentioned earlier, our services are completely free. We are not charging you any money to get your application done or to get your visa approved. No, we do not charge a fee. So to prepare yourself ahead of May intake or probably September intake, you want to know exactly what to do and how to go about it. The document required to put together to get this application submitted successfully, you can always click on the link below. Please click on the link below this video to book a session, a one-on-one video counseling session with our counselor. So you can discuss more about the course you are going for. So we can help you check if the course is open for May. And if it is not, we can advise you to always put in for the next intake, which is September. So it is good to have the right information handy when preparing to study in the UK. So at Team Consultancy, we focus majorly on schools in the UK. universities in the UK is, what we currently work on. We are working on working with schools in the UK for all applications. So we don't do schools outside UK. All our schools are in the UK, and this clinic is all about study in the UK. So if you have any question regarding your course selection, how do you go about selecting the right course that, fits your career? Our counselors are here on ground to help you navigate that process seamlessly. You have nothing to worry about. And we'll ensure that we get you the best school based on your budget, your academic requirements matches with the school's criteria, because there are some schools that will tell you for you to get a PG program with them, you need to have some certain grade. So the certain grade could be like from a 2.2, which is your CGPA, like a 2.2, a 2.1, or even a first class. And then for the lower grade, which usually between the third class or maybe some students with HND certificate who wants to go in for a direct master's, we equally have universities who accept your HND, even your third class, with a direct master's application. But the condition is that your work experience, needs to align well with the program you are going for, and that the school wants to be sure that you actually have a prior experience, academic wise, and, in terms of your experience on the field, just to ensure that you are the right candidate for that particular course you are going for. Now, to get the actual work experience that is needed from you, which is what I'm explaining now, is for those with the lower grade, that's the third class and the HND holders. So you need a valid work experience, like say like 3 years upward, depending on the school we are submitting the application to. But again, before we get into all of this, we are going to have a session with our students, and then let you know what is expected of you. Okay, so once we're looking at the document that is required to put in your application. First, for students who are going for undergraduate program, You need your grade 12 certificate, which is your WAEC result. For those who are using NECO, we need the scratch card to verify that that result is actually original. We also need your international passport to put in an application. Now, for undergraduate students who are within the age range of 17 to 21, you are likely not going to have any work experience. But if you have, it's a good one. It could be like a part-time work experience. It could be like a full-time work experience. If you have any, you can present, share your CV with us. So international passport, the CV, your WAEC scratch card or your NECO scratch card, and we can put in your application for undergraduates. Then sometimes we need a recommendation letter. Yes, so a recommendation letter is also part of the document that will be needed to put in your application. So if you are going for a PG program, because as a PG student, we understand that you've gone through a 4 years academic, circle, and that is where the transcript will be required. So transcript is needed because even if it's HND you have, it is expected that you present your OND transcript, including your HND transcript and both certificates, OND certificates and HND certificates. And if it's a BSc you have, then you are presenting your 4 years BSc's program transcript, including the certificates. Now, we understand that some students had done like a pre-program, like diploma program to get a direct entry to school for your undergraduate. So in that case, you are expected to present what you'll be presenting to us at, for your master's program is likely going to be 3 years transcript because you started as a direct entry, which is 200 level, 300 and 400, and then you graduated, you have your certificate. So what you are likely going to have for a direct entry student is going to be 3 years. Okay, so again, for someone going, students who are going for PG program, which is masters, you are expected to present more documents. So that's where your transcript comes in. And then, like I was explaining, that if you are a student who got into school with a direct entry, that you started from 200 level, 300, 400 before you graduated, you are expected to present your diploma certificate and the transcript. Because what is expected of you is 4 years academic transcript. So presenting 3 years academic transcript because you got into a direct entry, you will be asked to provide the remaining academic record, which is your diploma certificate and the transcript. So these are likely some of the documents that will be required, and that's why it is more for PG students, unlike the undergraduate students. And then your international passport, of course, is required, and your grade 12, which is your WAEC or even NECO, is also required. And your work experience definitely is needed. So you need to submit your CV, for us to see, for the school to know that, yes, you have a good work experience. And if your CV needs to be adjusted or work on, our counselors will let you know how to go about that. So CV, yes, is needed. And then recommendation letter is very, very important, from either from the school you graduated from or from your current place of work. Again, your English proficiency or letter is also required. So we need English proficiency letter from the school you graduated from, stating that you were taught and assessed in English language. So we need an English proficiency letter from the school you graduated from. So these are basically the major documents that is required from the student. And then when putting in application, statement of results is not usually advisable. Some schools will still proceed and give you your offer letter, but it's still not advisable because it's still going to come out as a condition that you need to fill because you didn't provide that certificate while putting in the application from the beginning. So these are likely, the informations that student will need to put their document together to have a successful application and then get you offer letter from schools in the UK. And our team are fully on ground to assist you navigate the whole process seamlessly without charging you any fee. Our services are completely free. And if you have any question, please do well to drop it on the chat box. I will be glad to respond to all your queries. So we've talked about the different intake between May and September. We've talked about the different intake between May and September. Why students will consider May intake, probably because of the weather is more friendly in May intake. The classroom is less populated. You get to, get yourself familiar with your lecturer, with new friends, the environment easily in the month of May, before the weather, start getting too cold, or you can't, within 3 months of staying in the UK, if you are going in for the May intake, you should be able to prepare yourself ahead of the winter period, which is September. So definitely September is the winter period and it's cold. And for those who don't mind whether the weather is cold or not, you can put in for September intake. Again, September intake is the bigger period for recruitment process. And like I said, September have more courses. Virtually all the schools are open in the UK recruiting for the September intake. So if you are going for advanced courses, you are likely going to get it in September intake. But for May intake has kind of limited courses, and it's not all universities that recruit in the month of May. So you might have a particular university in mind that you want to study or you want to apply, to. That university might not be open for May intake. So not all universities open May intake. Not all courses are available for May intake. September, you have more schools open. You have courses. You have a wider range of options to pick from, unlike the May intake. So if you need more information on how to navigate this whole process seamlessly, get the document right from the beginning, how to craft out a comprehensive SOP, for your application, which is statement of purpose, how to choose school, how to select your course easily without having any issue. You can click on the link below this video to book a one-on-one counseling session with us, and our counselors will be here to assist you to navigate the whole process, easily. So if you have any question regarding school selection, course selection, intake, which is either going for January, September, or May, kindly drop a message to speak with one of our counselors, and we'll be happy to guide you through the whole process. This session is usually holds every week, which is Thursday, the same time, 11 a.m. We've come to the end of today's session, and I will respond to all your messages as soon as you drop them. So my name is 𝗟𝗶𝘃𝗲 from Team Consultancy. See you again next time, same time, same time, Thursday, same time, 11 a.m. Bye for now.